Hello and welcome to another episode of the Maxi-Geek Show. Today is Friday, September 2nd, and this is episode number 34. It has been a busy week, mostly because it has been the follow-up week to Gamescom, but we're also leading into, PAX is this weekend, and Tokyo Game Show is in a couple of weeks. So we're sort of in this weird state between shows. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming from, sort of the flow on from Gamescom with, there being so much stuff and only so many, hours in the day. And then there's a lot of stuff happening at PAX this weekend. And we're starting to learn more details about the upcoming stuff for Tokyo Game Show. So it is also, the first episode of the month. So we're going to go through the various things about the games, coming to the subscriptions, to the tiers and all that sort of stuff, as well as, the games coming out this month. So we do have a bit to get through, so we're going to jump straight into it. We're going to talk about a couple of showcases that have been announced this week. So the first showcase we're going to talk about is NIS America. So NIS America, so NIS, NIS stands for Nippon Ichi Software. They do a lot of, the Disgaea series, the Trials From series, things like that. So they do a lot of Japanese role-playing games. They are hosting a showcase during the week. It isn't the best time for us, but it's not the worst time. So it'll air on Thursday, September 8th at 1 a.m. for those, on the eastern coast of Australia. For those on the western coast, over in Perth and that side of the country, it'll be 11 p.m. on the 7th. There will be 4 games announced during the showcase. And a bunch of news and other things as well for it. We don't know exactly the details for, how long it's going to go for. Is it going to be an hour-long show? Is it going to be a 2-hour-long show? We just don't know. But it will be there this week. Now, we do actually have a dedicated events page. I'll pop that there in the chat. So if you are looking for, what are upcoming events for it. So if I just show it up here for you. So we do have them. The times are in Australian Eastern Standard Time because that's the time zone that I'm in. But when you click into them, it does list the times that are, the different dates and times for the different zones, including New Zealand. And you can also add it to your Google Calendar or your iCloud calendar, your Apple Calendar as well. So we've got the Nippon Ichi Software event this coming, Wednesday and Thursday. And then, next weekend we've got the Disney and Marvel Game Showcase out of D23. And then Ubisoft Forward is on the Sunday. So, so there's a lot of stuff sort of coming along with these showcases. In addition to that, we also got confirmation of the schedule for Tokyo Game Show from Square Enix today. And that is going to be a lot of content as well. So the Square Enix showcase, the details are out for all 4 days of their streaming. And I'll get to that in a moment, but the only reason sort of that Square Enix outside Japan are calling it out is because there is one dedicated segment where they will be having, confirmation of an English sort of subtitle or an English way of watching the stream. So the full showcase or the full streaming schedule is across 4 days. Now, the first day is only one event, so it's only like an hour long, so it's not really a day's worth of streaming, but the other 3 are. So, because this is for Tokyo Game Show, the first stream kicks off on September 15th at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so that's 7 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time, and it is dedicated to Star Ocean. We don't know if this is deep diving into the new Star Ocean, the Divine Force, which is coming out in a couple of weeks. It's coming out in late October. Or if it's about the history of the series, maybe it's a recap of what's happened across the games in order to get people hyped for the new one. We don't know. We do know that it is a pre-recorded performance, so there's no live Q&A or anything for this one. It's totally pre-recorded, and again, we don't know how long it's going to go for. We know it starts at 9 p.m, so it starts at 8 p.m. in Japan. We don't know if it's an hour long, 2 hours long, 3 hours long. We just don't know. Moving on to the Friday. So as I said, that's the only sort of event for that day, but it is, technically, it's a different day, so it is part of their 4 days. On the Friday, there is 5 sessions or 5 segments into their stream, and it starts at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. The first hour is dedicated to what they're going to be talking about for the next 3 days, what they're showing off at Tokyo Game Show. The 7 p.m. stream is just called Let's Play Games on PC. It is a pre-recorded segment. We don't know what this is about. Are they just going to be playing games on PC? Are they going to be talking about, porting games to PC? What they offer PC players? We don't know that either. 8 p.m. will be the Saga series, Tokyo Game Show 2022 special live stream. So we've had a few games released from the Saga series over the past sort of 12 months. We don't know what this is about, but it's there. At 10 p.m. there'll be the Square Enix merch for Tokyo Game Show 2020 segment. That is a pre-recorded thing. That is basically just going to be, here's all the stuff that we can't buy. So, you may want to skip that one. And then at 11 p.m. is the Aiko Kano's Criticano Hit Tokyo Game Show special episode. That is like a variety show that somebody does in Japan. They're just doing a Square Enix specific version of that show. On the Saturday, the 17th of September, it starts at 4 p.m. So the upside for all this stuff for Tokyo is that all these times are pretty decent for Australia. Because Japan is essentially sort of, the same time zone as us. Obviously, if I say it starts at 7, it starts at 6 in Japan, but it starts at 5, in WA. So, it's sort of in the middle of our regular time zones. So, it's not, starting at 3 a.m. like, anything from Gamescom or anything from E3. So, yeah, it's all better for us. On the Saturday, though, at 4 p.m., there is a Voice of Cards, The Beast of Burdens show segment. Now, that was just a game that was announced just last night. That is the third game in the Voice of Cards series, which, the first one released in late November last year. There was one back in February or March, and then there's now a third one coming. At 5, I think that should just be 5:45 or something. There is an Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent music concert video segment. That is a pre-recorded thing. So Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent is the mobile game. So this just looks to be a bunch of music from that. 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time is the Valkyrie Elysium and Harvestella special live stream for Tokyo Game Show. This is the one that Square Enix US and Square Enix UK have called out as, will definitely have, a way to enjoy it if you do not speak Japanese or understand Japanese. That is why I've, made that bold there. At 8:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, the Deerfield Chronicle will have its segment. And again, that is a pre-recorded one. And then at 10 p.m, they're dedicating an hour to the Power Wash Simulator game. Because why not? Finally, on Sunday, September the 18th, so this is the final day of streaming, it's the final day of Tokyo Game Show. At 12:45, we have the Final Fantasy trading card game at Beginner's Hall. It's just an introduction to the trading card game for Final Fantasy. At 1:45, there is Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai. That is the mobile game that also has an anime that's streaming. At 3:30, there is a Nintendo Switch specific event based on Nier Automata. I can't remember. It's like End of Yore or something edition. So, it's the full title is Nintendo Switch Nier Automata EOY edition coming soon. Let's ask Mr. Tora of Platinum Games about his passion for creating action games. That's a pre-recorded thing. It goes for an hour, but that is literally the name of that segment. But it's all about, the upcoming Switch version of Nier Automata. At 4:30, we have a segment dedicated to Tactics Ogre Reborn, which is the remastering of the remake from the Super Nintendo game. So the Super Nintendo game was remade for the PlayStation P, the PSP, back in the day. This is a remaster of that with the dedicated, pixel smoothing effect on it, so it looks horrible. And then finally at 6 p.m, there is a Final Fantasy XIV segment, just called A Stroll with Yoshi P at Tokyo Game Show. That's a lot of content. Now, we know some of these things will have subtitles. Generally speaking, anything pre-recorded should have good subtitles because it will have been uploaded, to YouTube at some point. These are all continuous, so you don't have to load up a different video every time, obviously. But anything pre-recorded, they can put subtitles on them in advance because, they know what's being said. Anything that is live, is going to be a bit of a, luck of the draw, so to speak. So as I said, we know the Valkyrie, Elysium, and Harvestella segment, which should go for about an hour and 15. That will have subtitles or live audio translation for it, because we know that one is happening, but the rest of them we don't really know. So I personally do like watching these things anyway, because they do have a number of what's the word for it? Like a number of cool things to show off. So, we get to see gameplay of games, even if we don't understand what they're saying about it. Sometimes the gameplay is enough. And they do have people coming in and talking about showing off, sketches of, this is the character design before we finalized it, stuff like that. So there's always a lot to sort of see and enjoy. Will I watch all 4 days of it? No, because, I have other things to do. But when I do have some time, I will sort of jump in and watch them here and there. Also announced during the week is the Xbox showcase for Tokyo Game Show. So this is another showcase that Xbox have done. This is the third year in a row for them. Now, this is preferenced by the fact that this showcase is dedicated for the Japanese gamer, for the Asian market first and foremost, and then globally, they're secondary in that context. This showcase will air at 7 p.m. on Thursday, September 15th. So 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Western Australia time, and 9 p.m. New Zealand time. So again, this is the only Xbox showcase that is actually at a time that works for Australia, because Xbox do not schedule things for the global audience when they host E3 or Gamescom streams. But the one that's not in English for the global audience is the only one that is at the time that we can enjoy it. We do know in the past they have had things. So Scarlet Nexus last year was announced as being released into Game Pass as part of the show. We could have something like that this time as well. Who knows? It is just one of those things where there may be some dedicated stuff for Japan that we may never see outside of Japan, but generally speaking, the content we will see should be available to all gamers globally at some point. It's just maybe not going to be, the information may not be as accessible for those who don't speak or understand Japanese. What is interesting with all this sort of stuff for Tokyo Game Show is that more and more we're now starting to see these companies that have been traditionally pretty gun shy in sharing stuff, about the stuff they're working on for Japan outside Japan. So we see, like Square Enix have had some E3 showcases, obviously Xbox have theirs, but when they show things, they're always showing, the Western style stuff for Square Enix, right? And I don't mean, they're not showing Final Fantasy. I mean, they're showing things for a Western audience. They present things in the Western way. Whereas for Tokyo Game Show, they tend to treat them more like, like a panel. They'll have, a moderator up there talking. There might be a producer, game director, an artist or something, and they go through bits and pieces of these games, as if you were watching it in the room, if you're at like a PAX panel, so to speak. But these things have always been traditionally quite reserved for Japan. So it is nice to see them doing more and more of these things for us. Again, the fact that Xbox are doing, their third showcase in a row for the Tokyo Game Show is very, very good. It does give Xbox a bit of credit for, them sticking with it. We know the Xbox has never done well in Japan. It is doing slightly better this time around with the Xbox Series S. The fact that it is a powerful console, it does the same level of graphics, just not at 4K. But it comes in a console size. You could fit two of them in a shoebox. Whereas the only option for PlayStation fans in Japan is the PS5. Whether you get it with the disc drive or not, that thing is a behemoth. And Japan traditionally has very smaller homes, smaller apartments. So a console that delivers essentially the same graphical capabilities, but in a much, much smaller form factor, that's going to appeal to a lot of people. And Game Pass is there as well. So the fact that Xbox is sticking to it, they're still trying to promote their brand in Japan. It's a very, very good thing. A couple of years ago, we did see the Flight Simulator game. They showed off the Tokyo sort of expansion. The Japan expansion for Flight Sim. We just had the Germany update for Flight Simulator at Gamescom, where they showed off updates to specific cities in Germany. It is possible we may see something for Flight Simulator at Tokyo Game Show, where they show, they might update Tokyo, Hokkaido, Osaka, Kyoto, things like that. We will have to wait and see. Unfortunately, that is all the good Xbox news that we have. We have to now move on to some bad Xbox news, and that is regarding Halo Infinite. And putting... There's no way to be kind about this, but Xbox have lied, and they've broken a promise, and it is an utterly bullshit move. So what I'm talking about is that when Halo 5 Guardians launched, it did not offer local co-op split screen campaign, which has been a staple of the series since the first game. So Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo ODST, Halo Reach, and Halo 4 all offered local couch co-op for the campaign. When Halo 5 Guardians launched, it didn't offer it. There was no way to play the game with a friend locally. After that happened, Bonnie Ross, who's sort of the head of 343 Industries, the developer of the series now, she came out and promised that going forward, the series would have, local co-op, because, that was a misstep that it didn't have it in Halo 5, and going forward, it would always be in there because that's part of the DNA of Halo. When Halo Infinite launched last year, there was hardly any of the features. There was no Forge, there was no campaign co-op at all, and they said, we're working on it. A couple of months back, there was the test for campaign co-op. So everyone was very, very hyped, hoping to see it coming. They did promise it would be out by August. And then, August came and went, and then they dropped the roadmap today. Correct, Tab. So the promise was that, the campaign co-op would come to Halo Infinite at some point. The cancellation is for the locals, so they are still going to be doing network play. So you and a friend can have Halo on a console each and still play together. You can play online, play locally, but there's no couch co-op, which unfortunately is what people wanted. People don't give a crap about playing Halo campaign with a friend online. Hey McCaskey, so welcome in. But yeah, so the Halo multiplayer, Halo campaign co-op has always been, a local thing. It's where you get a friend together and you sit down and you play through the campaign. If you want to play Halo multiplayer, that's what the multiplayer mode is for. So Xbox cancelling the one thing that people wanted is not a great thing at all. So the roadmap itself, though, has also ballooned out. So Halo Infinite launched their multiplayer access earlier than the main game because they had some issues they need to sort out, so they launched it as a beta. It launched officially when the game did. The multiplayer didn't grab fans at all. The fact that it's free to play doesn't help, it just didn't work for them. They spent some time fixing it. They eventually started Season 1, didn't work for them. They launched Season 2. People were, okay with what they were offering, but it still wasn't great. Season 3 is now not launching until March of 2023. So this is the timeline as it stands now. So the winter update, which will launch on November 8th, so we're still 2 months away from this arriving, will bring the beta for the Forge mode, so that's the map maker for Halo. That will also bring the campaign, the online co-op mode will be available then, as well as the ability to replay missions if you're playing single player. And then, there'll be maps and battle passes and all that sort of stuff. So, but that's coming in November. So we had the test a couple of months ago for the co-op. The local version's been cancelled and the online version's still more than 2 months away. Season 3, so all these fixes are going in winter, so when Season 3 launches it should be good. That's going to offer up new maps, new game modes, new battle passes, all the bits and pieces. But again, that's not coming until March next year. Putting things into some perspective, Battlefield 2042 launched last year as a broken game. It did not do well. People did not enjoy the maps. They did not enjoy the multiplayer. The lack of single player turned some people away. Halo. DICE themselves, they put out like 3 or 4 hot fixes within a couple of weeks, fixing a lot of the issues that people had. That game has now just kicked off its second season of content, and they're not breaking things up. And in all that, they're redesigning the maps, they're adding in more cover, new buildings, they're reshaping some of the terrain to allow for more, to remove sort of all the open fields, doing everything that they can do to ensure that people are enjoying what it is. And then with Halo, we're getting drip feed updates, seasonal updates that are 12 months behind where they should be. And this is the thing. DICE is a much smaller team than 343. Halo Infinite used about 17 external studios for asset development during development. So that some people did just vehicle designs, some did towers, some did weapons, and we've had studios that have done things for the maps. All this was done by a team of thousands of people working on Halo Infinite, and they cannot do what DICE are doing in the same amount of time. Now this is not just me ragging on 343 saying oh, look at these guys, they've got less people and they're doing better. The reason why this is a problem is because Halo Infinite, when they launched the Master Chief Collection, when 343 launched the Master Chief Collection, they screwed that one up as well. So DICE screwed up Battlefront 2. People did not like that at all. We hoped that they wouldn't screw up the launch of Battlefield 2042, but they did, but they're still correcting it now. When Master Chief Collection launched, everyone assumed that the next mainline Halo would be okay because, they've already had these experiences. They already have these, things to learn from. But that's not the case. They've done worse. They've had more, pointless additions, things that, they're making changes for the sake of making changes, and people are not happy. It's the same thing with Overwatch 2 going free to play, and some of the changes they've made. They're ruining the game for the fans, and they're making changes for the sake of making changes, and it's just not working for people. So, yeah, Halo is not in a great state right now, and considering this was the game that, Xbox were touting, hey, buy a Series X and you can have Halo Infinite and all these cool things that we're bringing to it. They delayed the game a year. The multiplayer launched broken. It's still not appealing to fans. And now one of the core modes that they're offering is now being delayed, being cancelled entirely. It's just not a good thing. They're really fumbling the ball with Halo, and I don't think they can recover from it. If the local co-op was that they said, hey, it is launching in November, we apologize for the delay, but we needed it to be accurate and we need to be perfect, people would understand, they'd be okay with it. But cancelling the one mode people wanted, I don't see that being I don't think the series can recover from that sort of, second, failure in a row. Right, moving on to some good-ish news. There was a leak the other day for the new Assassin's Creed game, so Ubisoft have actually confirmed it. In a rare move, Ubisoft have confirmed that the next Assassin's Creed title is called Mirage, and it is set during sort of, the Arabian Nights sort of period of the world. And I say that because they haven't really defined anything, but based on the building designs, you can see some Morocco, maybe Turkey, things like that. Probably not Turkey, because, we already had Constantinople before, but we have this sort of information for it. Now, in terms of details, all that will come during Ubisoft Forward, which is airing for us here in Australia on September 11th at 5 a.m. So that is a Sunday, so it's Sunday week. Obviously, we don't know any details about it. It was just this. There are some other additional, leaked information floating around, but Ubisoft have only just confirmed the name and this single piece of art. So this is unfortunately on brand for Assassin's Creed. All their games have leaked because of people doing things in public when they shouldn't be. Ubisoft, Origins leaked because, Ubisoft love their random tie-in merchandise. So they had some, company make a keychain for it. So we got the logo and the main sort of theme for the game from a keychain. and this was like 2-3 months before the game was officially announced. So yeah, it is on brand for Assassin's Creed to be leaked, but it's nice to see that Ubisoft have announced it is coming, and it is coming. The details will be coming in a week's time. With the good news of another game coming out, we have bad news for another game which is being delayed yet again. So Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is the name of this game, and I keep calling it Cyber Bum Rush Funk. I keep getting the name mixed up because it is such a complicated name. It just does not roll off the tongue like it should. But Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is a Jet Set Radio inspired title. So if you've ever played Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Grind, it is essentially that. It's a spiritual successor to it. Even one of the composers from the original game is creating music for this one, so it's going to have the same sort of soundscape as well. This was due to release in 2021. It was delayed to 2022 late last year, and now Reptile Games, the developer of this one, have announced it's being delayed yet again. Yeah, Cyberpunk Bum Rush. The name, it just does not roll off the tongue. I'm always getting it mixed up. I'll just scroll down here and just pop the old trailer on for a second, just so if you haven't seen what it is, you can actually get an idea of what it looks like. But yeah, they basically just said they wanted some more time to ensure that it is as good as it can be. So this video itself is a year old, and since then they've released like one audio clip to say, hey, this is some music from the game, but that's it. They've not really had a lot of content released for it over the past sort of year, which is a little worrisome, because at this point, if your game's being delayed so many times, you either have some real technical issues, or you know what your game is, you just want to polish it up to the nth degree. And if it's about polish, your game should be presentable, but we just don't see anything for this game nearly as often as we should. At the moment, the game is only coming to PC and Switch. It may come to other platforms. They may be working on other platforms. We don't know. But yeah, it's just one of those interesting things. We just have to wait and see for this one. But yeah, I've been sort of following the development of it. So to hear that it would not be releasing this year is a bit of a sad thing for me. But that's the way these things work. I mean, it's entirely possible, Tabs, that the game needs to be redone. I wouldn't imagine that's something that's the case, because if it was, they should have said something about it. They've basically just asked for more time to ensure the quality's up there. But again, because we haven't seen almost anything new on the game in a year, that's why I'm a little concerned. Now, as part of the confirmation of the delay, they did say they'd start releasing more things. Excuse me, but the fact there was nothing since then, and that's now a couple of days old, is a little concerning. Right, moving on, let's have a look-see at the games coming to the PlayStation Plus Essentials line for September, which was announced just the other day. So the September lineup for PlayStation Plus Essentials. So this is the cheapest tier for the PlayStation Plus program. This does not include the PlayStation, the game catalog, or the retro catalog. This is just the free games that you get to keep as part of the Essentials tier. So the games are pretty diverse. We have Need for Speed Heat from the PlayStation 4, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus from the PlayStation 4, and Toem from the PlayStation 5. So if you have a PlayStation 5, all three games are available for you. If you only have a PlayStation 4, you can redeem Toem, but you will not be able to play it. This is, in some months, we've had the PS4 and PS5 versions of games be available. Like we had Tony Hawk, which is still currently available. You can get the game for both console generations. So there's a PS5 specific version of the game. This is not the case this month. But for the September releases, it is 2 PS4 only games and 1 PS5 only title. There is still a few days left to get access to the August lineup. which as I said does include Tony Hawk and I believe Yakuza Like a Dragon. I think that was the other one that was interesting. Let me just load it up so I can remember. Yeah, so Yakuza Like a Dragon, Little Nightmares for the PS4, and then Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. The lineup for PlayStation is interesting. It is quite diverse. Neither of those games are anything remotely similar to the other, which is good because it offers variety. But one of those games like Need for Speed Heat is on sale for like $15 most times when it's on sale. Toem's not that expensive, and Grand Blue is a fighting game. Fighting games generally only appeal to a very small number of players. So I already have 2 of those 3 games, so it doesn't really matter for me. But it's nice to see some of these titles make the jump. Speaking of making the jump, we will talk about the Xbox Games with Gold lineup for September, which also comes with some sad news. So the lineup, as always, is 2 games, 4 games for the month. 1 game is the entire month, 1 will come in the middle of the month, and then 1 is the first 2 weeks of the month, and 1 is the final 2 weeks of the month. So with the lineup, the reason why there's some sad news is this is the last month where games with Gold will include Xbox 360 games or Xbox One games. Xbox original games. So what is happening is for this month, the full September release title will be Gods Will Fall. So that's available now and through to the end of September. The game that kicks off in the middle, and I said that not meaning to make a joke out of it, but the game that comes in September 16th and runs through to the middle of October will be Double Kick Heroes. And then the games that are for the 2-week period is Thrillville from the original Xbox, and then Portal 2 from the Xbox 360 is the back half of the month. Now, if you have Portal 2, you add that to your library. Next month, starting in October, there will be no older generation consoles. It'll be Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S only. If you have a collection of Xbox 360 titles or Xbox One original titles from Games with Gold, and you realize you do not want to keep the subscription going forward anymore because they're cutting out half the games and not released any plans to fill the gap with more modern titles, every game will stay in your library and you won't have to have a subscription for it going forward. So while we are losing some access to some older platforms, the entire collection available through the service will remain as part of your account. So it's essentially like you've bought them all now. You will not lose them if you cancel your subscription, which is not the case currently. Again, it is a little bit of a sad thing. We saw this, 2 years ago-ish, now 3 years ago, when the PlayStation 3 games were dropped from PlayStation Plus. When they were just focused, they just made the PS4 the only platform. But that was a few months before the PlayStation 5 release, so it sort of made sense they were doing it. Xbox, obviously, they're no longer doing any new backwards compatible titles for their Xbox 360 and Xbox original platforms, which is sad, but again, totally understandable. You can only do so many, and just because somebody loves a particular game, it may not make sense to dedicate resources to ensuring that works as best as it can on modern hardware. But yeah, so again, sad news, but it is what it is. We do know the lineup for the PlayStation Extra and PlayStation Premium offerings that are coming in September. So Deathloop is being added, Rayman Legends. I'm drawing a blank now on some of them. So they're being added to the game catalog. Siphon Filter is being added to the the PS1 library, sorry. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. But again, as we are at the start of a new month, we do have to run through, the bigger games coming to the various platforms this month of September. So last month I said was pretty quiet because it was sort of the quieter month of the year when most of the developers were away. Games tend not to release. That is the opposite here. This is the start of the busy period. So September, October, and November will be quite packed. So we'll get through this as quickly as we can. Something to note though, some of these games, had release dates added after the list was published. So there are some that are not on here, but this is the list as it stands, as of today. So already released is Ooblets for Switch and Xbox One, and it's finally gone sort of gold on PC. So that's there now. Today saw the release of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, which is the remastering of the PlayStation 3 fighter JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle. They just added the letter R to the end of it. The Last of Us Part 1 is also out today for PlayStation 5. We do have a review of that one, and it is a fantastic, version of the game. Lego Brawls is also out today as well. I have been playing that a little bit. I will have a review for that probably early next week. Moving on to games that are still to come. On September 6th, we will see the release of Circus Electrique for all platforms. Circus Electrique is a game from Zen Studios. Zen Studios are the folks that generally make pinball games. So if you've ever played a digital pinball game, there is a fair chance that Zen Studios are the ones that made it. So they do Star Wars, a whole bunch of other things for them. It kind of reminds me a bit of like XCOM in terms of sort of its combat systems, even though it's not a third person, tactical one. But yeah, so it's, set in this sort of steampunk era London, where people are being driven mad, which they've got the red eyes. But the circus themselves that's rolled into town is sort of immune to the, what's causing the madness. So they go out in order to fight to sort of, help the citizens of London snap out of what's causing them to rage out. So that one's coming on the 6th. Also on the 6th, Rocksmith Plus will finally see release on PC. It is coming to consoles and mobile platforms later on, but the PC launch is on September 6th. It is free to get Rocksmith Plus, but it is a subscription-based title. I believe it was $12.95 a month for Australia. It might be a bit more than that. It's $140 for a year, though. So if you want to, it might be more than, maybe $20 a month then. But yeah, so if you want to learn how to play guitar, Rocksmith Plus is that sort of program. There are 5,000 songs available as part of it. You can use either the dongle if you have a guitar that supports the connection. If you have an acoustic guitar, you can actually download the app on your mobile phone and use that to record what you're playing, so you can learn how to play it. Also on September 6th, we will see the release of Temtem for Switch, PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. It is MMO Pokemon. There is no other way to say it. It is an online multiplayer game that takes more than a creative license from the Pokemon series. On everything but Switch on September 6th as well, we'll see the release of Train Sim World 3. It is a train simulator game. You are the driver, and you have to get through things. September 8th, we'll see the release of Steel Rising for PC and next-gen consoles. That is sort of a Dark Souls-esque type, gameplay-wise, set in an alternate France during the Revolution, where, the aristocracy and, high society have automatons to serve them. They've gone mad, but one automaton is immune from that, and that is who you play as. September 9, we'll see NBA 2K23 released for all platforms. Next-gen consoles, so Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5, we'll see some big changes for the My Career, which I do have a story for that. There is also more changes coming for the city, but I can't talk about that just yet. Previous generations, so Switch, PS4, and Xbox One and PC, they've not detailed anything about the city or any of those things yet. That'll come sometime early next week. Also on the 9th, we'll see the release of Splatoon 3 on Switch. It's Splatoon. I got to play it down at Nintendo recently. If you like Splatoon, you'll like this. If Splatoon's not your thing, this is not going to change your mind. September 13, we'll see Little Orpheus make the jump from Apple Arcade to all platforms. that looks very, very cool. It'll also see the release of Sunday Gold on PC. That is a very, very unique sort of RPG-ish type game. It sort of reminds me a little bit like with the character artwork of Disco Elysium, but the actual, everything's sort of stylized in a set way for combat, as you can see here. So it looks very, very cool. It is eventually going to be coming to consoles, but it's just launching first on PC. Now, there is a prologue available on Steam now that you can download for free to sort of, help you set up the world and everything. So that is something you can look forward to if that interests you. The 13th will also see the release of 13. So 13 on the 13th. People are getting really confused on this one, so I'll try and make it as clear as I can. Last year, Microids released 13 on PlayStation, PC, and Xbox. It was reviewed abysmally because it was broken, it didn't look right, it didn't play well, it was a bad game. That game was also meant to come to Switch, but they delayed the Switch version before the game even released because they needed more time on it. Once the reviews and all the feedback for the release last year came in, and they realized how bad it was, development shifted from the studio that was making it to another company that Microids had worked with before. So they finished working on the Switch version of the game first. They've also now taken all that work from the Switch version and redone the PC, PlayStation, and Xbox versions of the game. So Switch is finally getting the release of 13 that we were promised last year. It's now finally coming out on the 13th. The PlayStation and Xbox upgrade to make it the version it should have been last year is also coming out on the same day. So that is what's happening here. So it's not 13. It's not a new version of 13 for Switch. It is the version that was initially planned. It's now just finally coming out. But the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC versions are the ones that have been redone as well. Hopefully that makes sense. On the 15th of September, we'll also see Dungeons 3 make its debut on Switch. This game's been out for ages on other platforms. Funnily enough, the week after this was announced, the studio Calypso Media also announced Dungeons 4 is coming to Switch and all the other platforms as well. On the 15th, we will see the console release for Metal Hellsinger for Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5. It's one of those shoot-to-the-beat games that apparently are popular out of nowhere. There's a subgenre of shooters now that have you shooting to the beat of the music that plays. The 15th will also see the next-gen release of Outer Wilds for both PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. That is a free upgrade if you already own it on the same console family. So if you have the PlayStation 4 version, you'll get the PlayStation 5 version for free. Also on the 15th, we'll see the release of SBK 22. This is another motorbike game from Milestone. They very rarely do anything other than motorbike games. So they did the Hot Wheels Unleashed game last year, but they also do motocross. Monster Energy Supercross, that's them. MotoGP is them, and the Ride series is them. So they sort of do 4 motorbike games a year. This is just another motorbike game. If you don't like any of the other ones, this is not going to change your mind either. September 19 we'll see the release of Return to Monkey Island for both Switch and PC. If you pre-order the game, you will receive Horse Armor DLC. It does nothing for the game. It is not usable in any way, shape, or form. It just sits in your inventory. That's probably a deliberate joke based on the fact that the very first piece of DLC that was sold for a couple of bucks was Horse Armor. That's probably where they've gotten that from. But yeah, so you can pre-order the game if you want Horse Armor DLC sitting in your inventory. September 20 will see the console release of Hard Space Shipbreaker for Series X and S and PS5. It is already out on PC. This is just the console release of that one. The 20th will also see the release of Solstice for PC, Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5. It is definitely another, Souls-inspired game. There is a demo available for that on PC as well. Beacon Pines is releasing on the 22nd, which is coming to Switch, PC, and Xbox One. It is also launching into Game Pass on the same day for both PC and Xbox. That is being published by local group Fellow Traveller. So if you're looking to support a local publisher, that is something to check out. The 22nd will also see the release of the Dio Field Chronicle, which is coming to all platforms. There is a demo available for this on all platforms, with all the progress that you make in the demo being transferable to the full release. Serial Cleaners is also set to release on the 22nd for all platforms. That is the sequel to Serial Cleaner. So Serial Cleaner had you playing as one character. Serial Cleaners has 4. So I'll just jump in a bit to the trailer here. So the gist is the same. You have to go in, clean up these crime scenes, but not get caught by the cops and all that sort of stuff. You've only got a finite amount of time to get in and get the job done in order to prevent the people that have hired you from going to jail. So the 4 different people all have different reasons as to why they do what they do. There is a story that connects them all as well, if that is something that you're into, but otherwise it's just more of the Serial Cleaner thing. The 22nd will also see the release of a Session Skate Sim for all platforms but Switch. It is another skating game. We've seen there was one last year, and the name now eludes me. And it wasn't Skatebird, it was something else. But this is whole, hey, we like the Skate series, so we made our own skate game. It's one of those ones. But that's now coming to all platforms. It is on early access now for both PC and Xbox. So if you do have the platforms, you want to give it a go now, you can. But the full release is coming in a couple of weeks. The 23rd will also see the release. The 23rd will see release of DreamWorks Dragons Legends of the Nine Realms, which is coming to all platforms. It is done by Outright Games. Outright Games are sort of specializing lately in sort of child-friendly, games. This is very Diablo-esque, but it's just set to the Dragons Legends animation series, which is set a couple hundred, I think it's like 500 years, 600 years after the events of the movie series. So that is there as well. The 23rd will also see the release of Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival for Switch. That is another Taiko no Tatsujin game. It's a rhythm game for drums. It is what it is. The 27th will see Grounded finally leave its early access period for PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. It is just the 1.0 release of the game. It'll add the final story beats to it. So if you've already been playing it and you just want to finish it off, that'll be the time to do it. If you want to start playing now, you can do so and get stuck into it. But the full experience won't be available till the end of the month. The 27th will also see the release of Hoko Life for Switch, PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. It is an interesting one. It has like elements of Animal Crossing in it, but it's unnecessarily complicated more than Animal Crossing is. So yeah, I don't know who this is for. We have other games that are very similar, like Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons, where they try that sort of, not the Animal Crossing style, but they try to do things. And this just seems to be taking everything 1,000 steps further, but I'm not sure why. So there you go. That's Hoko Life. The 27th will also see the release of Life is Strange Arcadia Bay Collection for Switch, finally, after being delayed back in January. It's now finally coming. It will also have a retail release, which it wasn't going to have when it was first planned to release back in February. Tunic will also be releasing on the 27th for PlayStation consoles. The game is already out on PC and Xbox. It's now just getting the PlayStation release. No word if Switch is going to get it as well, but it's nice to see it coming to more platforms. Dorf Romantik is getting a release on the 29th on Switch. It is available on PC now. This is just the Switch version of that game. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is coming to Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 on the 29th. Now, we'll obviously play on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, but it's not optimized for it. There's no version specific for those platforms. Railgrade will see release on PC and Switch on the 29th. That is a train management simulator where you have to lay down paths for various trains so they can pick up supplies, deliver them to depots, and make you money. Valkyrie Elysium will release on PlayStation platforms on the 29th. The game is also coming to PC, but it is not releasing on PC until November. For some reason, there's like a 6 week difference between the PlayStation release and the PC release. Arrow Heart is releasing on September 30 for all platforms. This is a game that released via Kickstarter. It's a Kickstarter game. It is being made by one bloke here in Australia. He's been working on it for years. The Kickstarter was there, and then he got a publisher with Sodesco. They're also doing Bunny Park on September 30, which is a very, very cute game where you have to sort of manage a bunch of rabbits. September 30 will also see the release of FIFA 23 for all platforms except Switch, but it'll also see the pointless release of FIFA 23 Legacy Edition on Switch. There's no footage for Legacy Edition for the last couple of years because EA have given up on it. Apart from Ultimate Team, which they still love shoving, down everyone's throats on Switch. They've not released any new footage for it, so this is the FIFA 19 sort of, hey, check out this game, because that's the last time they did anything for it. We'll also see the release of Lemon Cake on the 30th. This is another Sodesco one. This is one of those ones where you have to restore and run your bakery, make dishes that people order, and it's all this very cutesy sort of art style. I know someone that I shared this with was super ecstatic for it because they said it's definitely their vibe. But it's just another one of those sort of food making games. And then finally, Paw Patrol Grand Prix will release for all platforms as well. And again, that's another outright game title. And that is September in a nutshell. That is all the big games coming in there. I know Wrath of the Lich King is launching in September, but that had its release a decade ago. I'm not going to list an expansion for that's. It's already out. You can buy Wrath of the Lich King for WoW already. So I'm not going to worry about listing that one. In terms of anything other than anything releasing next week that I didn't sort of cover off just quickly, then there are a few sort of games that are coming out. So the Tomorrow Children is getting its PlayStation 4 release next week. BPM Bullets Per Minute is getting its Switch release next week. And as I said, so Freedom Planet also getting a PC release next week. SCP Secret Files was announced at Gamescom. That's coming to PC next week as well. But yeah, it's not a very, very busy week next week, outside of Circus Electrique, Temtem, Steel Rising, and then obviously NBA and Splatoon on Friday. But that does it for this week with another episode of the Maxi-Geek Show done and dusted. We do record these every Friday at 7 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, so that's 7 PM Sydney time. If you did watch live, I hope you enjoyed what you were seeing. If you did watch the VOD, I hope it was somewhat entertaining for you. And obviously we are on YouTube as well. We put these shows up on YouTube every Saturday at midday. If you do like what you see, please give us a follow, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, we'll catch you when we're on next time, which is Tuesday, where we should be getting through the final storyline for 007 Legends, and then that'll lead us into the final game of our James Bond series. And then, as I said, we'll be back next Friday for more Maxi-Geek Show. So until we see you online next time, happy gaming.